people. We're going to be doing the last winter set of the season, which I'm calling Winter Melt. And let's get started. I'm using a medium length oval tip. Where the product picture was at the beginning, it went by really quickly. I'm sorry about that. My stupid camera took a live photo and I couldn't figure out how to get it to be the way I needed it, and I didn't want to reshoot the picture because I would have had to gather all that crap together again. So it is what it is. You can pause the video on that screen if you want to see that stuff. I don't know if anybody's even looking at that or not, but anyway, all the stuff is listed in the description anyhow, in case you can't see any of that stuff or you're interested in it. Okay, this was a fairly easy set. I had a new thing I wanted to try out. Okay, we're going in with the second coat now. I had some new product I wanted to try out, so which is why I did it this way, which you'll see as we go along to the next step. But for the most part, these nails were pretty easy. I think most people can do them. If you can do stamping, you can do these. And as I said, this is the last winter set. Next time we'll be starting Valentine's. I have some ideas. I don't know if they're good ones, but I have some ideas for that. And sorry I'm out of shot. I don't know what's been happening. I've been having all kinds of problems lately. Hair sticking in everything on this set. Okay, we're going to cure those, and then we're moving on. Now, this stuff here I got from Born Pretty. This is specifically, and I can't talk today, for doing stamping of chrome. Okay, we're going to use, not that one, dummy. Okay, that one. There we go. We're going to use that kind of looks like a snowflake or a star, but I'm saying it's a snowflake. We're going to spread this gel stuff on here, just like normal stamping stuff. We're going to give it one scrape, only one. Don't go more than once for this. They were specific about that. And then we're going to pick it up on the stamper head, just like normal. Okay, and there it is. You can kind of sort of see it. It's there. Then we're going to stamp this directly on the nail. Now, I had problems seeing exactly where it is, so these are not all going to be stamped on there in the exact place I would have liked, but it is what it is. Okay, it's on the nail. Now we're moving on. We set that aside. I'm cleaning it off with acetone on the plate, and then I'm cleaning my stamper head with alcohol. You really shouldn't be using either of those things on the stamper head, but you don't have a choice for this, so I had to do it. But we're just going to carry on. I'm just going to show you one more, and that's it. Stamping it onto the nail. Okay, now we're going to cure those. I've stamped all of those. You just can't see them. We're going to cure that. Okay, then we go in. I've got this blue chrome powder. This is where the magic happens with that stuff that we stamped on there. We just pick some of that up. I like to dab it on, and then I'm going to kind of brush it to rub it in a little, and there we have it. There's our design we stamped on there. Now this nail had issues. I got that side spot over there where there's a big gap, and a little bit on that side where it didn't get stamped. And that is the one issue I had with that stamping stuff, is it's clear, so you can't really see where you're stamping it. So I couldn't tell that I had missed some spots until I was all done and I got to this step. Now, mind you guys, This is the second time I'm doing this part because I screwed it up royally the first time. I forgot to wipe down my nails with acetone before I started putting the chrome, but before I started the whole stamping part, putting the stamping thing on there. And consequently, when I went to rub my first batch of chrome on there, it stuck to the entire nail, so I had to wipe them all off, recoat them, re-stamp them all, and now this is what you're seeing is the second time of that. So make sure before you do it, if you're going to do this, you wipe down your nails really good with acetone. Now I did give them a regular matte top before I did this, and then I wiped the matte top down with, I think I used alcohol instead of acetone, which is probably why I was having issues. So you can see some spots the chrome is sticking on. I had to go in and clean it up. And then this one, where we didn't get the full stamp on the side, I'm going to just take that stuff again, and I'm just going to paint in some lines to kind of fill that in so it doesn't look so glaringly obvious. Now, normally, how I would have done this if I did not have that clear stuff, that new stamping stuff, I would have just picked it up. I would have used black stamping polish and did that on the stamping plate, scraped it off, and then I would have coated my stamper head with the blue chrome powder, rubbed that on good, then use that to pick up the stamp, off the plate, and then stamp it on the nail. Then you'll still get the same look in the end. It's a messy way to go, but this wasn't that much neater. So, and we're just gonna chrome up those bits I just filled in with that little bit there. And you can see now it at least doesn't have gaps on the side. It's not perfect, but at least it doesn't look like we missed a big area. Okay, now I'm going in, and there were some spots, like I said, even after I did these the second time, there's some spots where I had some sticking with the chrome. So I'm going in with my little detailer brush and trying to clean those out, the worst of them, so it doesn't look so yucky and messy. I could have also just used blue stamping polish and avoided the whole chrome issue, but I wanted to try that stuff out, so that's why I did it like this. Darn it, I just lost my whole train of thought. What was I going to say? Oh, there is a matte top coat that everybody is now using for isolated chrome. The brand is GAOY. I don't really know how to pronounce that. I'm going to say Goy. But anyway, I'm going to be getting some of that as soon as I can get my hands on some so we can avoid this whole problem. Because people are using that stuff to coat their nails before they do isolated chrome, and it's working beautifully. Now, I know also Botino sells a matte top. It's called Teflon matte or Teflon top. It's basically the same thing as the Gyoy one. It will matte top your nails, so when you do isolated chrome, your chrome doesn't stick where you don't want it. Okay, here we are. Those are cleaned up as good as they're going to get. I'm going to set that aside. Moving on. Okay, that was the hard part. This is all the easy part now. Okay, we're going to use some white gel paint, and I'm just going to go on the one remaining nail that I did not stamp, which happens to be, I think it's the middle finger. Anyway, we're going to paint a puddle, a melted snow puddle on here. Just however you want to do it. I mean, it's a puddle. You don't need to be precise. Just get it on there and try to get it to be semi-neat looking. Once I get this all filled in, we'll be curing that. Now there's a lot of little tiny bits to this last nail that used a lot of different products or different colors of product. that you only need the teeniest tiny little bit for. So you could do all this part instead of the gel paint. You could just use polish. I'm just using the gel paint because I have it and it's thicker than polish, so it gives you a little bit more of an opaque look without having to go over it several times. So plus it doesn't really need to have a top coat. I usually top over it, but you don't have to. Okay, that's been in and cured. Now I've got white carving gel, clay dough, whatever people are calling it now. I decided that was not going to be a big enough ball, so I had to get some more. Now, foolishly, as I'm doing this, my gloves don't look dirty, but let me tell you, whenever you use a light color of anything, it's going to pick up. Like, see how I've got little glitter bits and little bits of who knows what off my gloves in there? So now I am going to have to end up painting that because I don't want it to look dirty like that. Okay, we've stuck that on. Now I've put a little bit of alcohol underneath that so it will kind of sort of melt the bottom of that to the nail and it will stay on better. And we're going to do a similar thing with black. FYI, if you're using more than one color of this kind of stuff, always start with your lightest color first. Because if I had done this black first and I didn't clean my gloves off properly, I would have got black all over the white. Even though it doesn't look like there's any still on my gloves, there probably is. And I didn't want any extra stuff sticking in, so. Now back to that white snowball. In reality, the snow was at a melting point like that. It probably would be looking dirty and gross, but being that this is going to be on a nail, I didn't want it to actually look like that. So that's why we're going to paint over that. Okay, I'm just putting some alcohol onto there so this one will stick. This is going to be his hat. Now, frankly, I could have painted this hat on. It would have probably been easier. But I already had the white out, so I figured I may as well make the hat 3D as well. And I'm going to switch to my silicone tool so I can manipulate this a little easier. And once I get this to a shape that I'm happy with, then I'll put the little brim piece on. The hat did not totally come out the way I intended. I was going to make a 3D hat and then cut it in half, and then so I could lay it against the nail flat, and it would still look more roundy, but I just opted for this way because it was quicker and easier. Now, I started to have trouble getting this stupid thing on there, so I had to get out the old tweezers. And still it was giving me problems. All right, once I can get it on there, we can mash things together. We're going to mash it up there. We're going to square it up a little bit more so those edges are not so long. And then it will be ready to go in for cure. Well, no, it won't either. I have to do a little cleanup on it. See, and now I've managed to get white or something on there. Okay, we're going to use some alcohol, and we're just going to brush over that to clean it up and smooth it out. That'll take out any lines that are there, fingerprints, any of that kind of thing. Okay, now it's ready to go in for curing, and that will cure for 2 minutes. Okay, back to the white gel paint, where I'm now going to paint the snowball because, like I said, I don't want it to look dirty like it was. But I was hoping to avoid this step of having to paint this, which is why I used the white clay stuff in the first place instead of just getting the clear one. Oh well. Now, as you're watching me, okay, this will get cured as soon as I get this white on here. That's going to get cured again. And in it's going to go. And it's cured. And we're back. Now we've got orange. All you need is a little skosh out of here of this. I'm just going to paint a little carrot nose on there. Now I will say I meant to paint some stick branch arms laying on the ground and I completely forgot about it. I didn't, and now we're going to go with black and we're just going to use a small dotting tool and we're just going to put his eyes on there. Now if you're doing this, I would put the branch arms on the ground too, laying there. That would have looked cuter. I didn't realize I'd forgotten them until I already had my picture shot. And I did not feel like going back and reshooting my picture, so I didn't do it. But it would have looked much cuter with the arms on there. Anyway, I'm going to go over this with a top coat. I'm going to coat it real well, and then I'm going to dry my brush off, scrape it off, dry my brush off, and go back over this and take off any of it that has pooled up really thickly. Then we're going to do the final top coat on the rest of them, and we'll be done. See, fairly easy peasy, if a bit messy. But if you didn't want to do the whole chrome powder thing, if you just used blue stamping gel, that would have been 10 times easier, and I could have been done with this whole set probably within, half an hour, as opposed to whatever it took me, which really wasn't that much longer, but still. Seeing as how I had to stamp all those twice and do all that part twice. But anyway, here's the finished set, the last of winter. Say goodbye as the snowman melts. And if you like them, please give me a like. I appreciate it. It helps me a lot. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. And I will be posting new tutorials every Saturday. And that's all I have for now, guys. See you next week with Valentine's set. Bye-bye.